need to set the expectations for you and for VA. I'm going to show you how to set the expectations for your virtual assistant so you get the most out of their productivity. Number one is tardiness. How do you feel about the VA showing up to work late? Are you okay with that, or you're absolutely against it? Let's set the expectations about delivery of results. You gotta set clear standards for the quality and timelines of work. The more they know about your preferences, the better they can help you. So what we talked about so far was understanding the role of the VA, what they can do, what they can do, what they should, what they shouldn't do, setting the expectations, how to let the VA know what do you expect of them, and how will you check that, and what do you like, what you don't like. We also talked about gradual delegation. Start small and then add gradually more to their plate. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the show Built with VAs. I'm Valentina Brega and I am ready to talk everything about virtual assistants. I work with a lot of companies and we hire and we train virtual assistants for them. And I noticed that we need to set the expectations for you and for VA. I'm going to show you how to set the expectations for your virtual assistant so you get the most out of their productivity, but also there's going to be a little mindset shift of how you should look at your relationship with your virtual assistant, because I want you to have a productive, respectful partnership. And there are some things that a lot of people that we work with don't realize about virtual assistants. So let's get right into them, right? Let's talk about expectations on both sides. So the number one thing that I would like to address is let's get clarity on the VA's role. A VA is here to assist and streamline your process, not to replace you. Okay, so the word assistant in virtual assistant is very important. So let's keep it there. Your involvement, guidance, your clear communication is still very much needed. They're here to assist you, but they need your guidance. They need your involvement. They need you to show them how things are done. Because a virtual assistant can bring skills and efficiency to the table, but they operate best with your direction and your feedback. So to kind of piggyback on this, another idea is that your VA is not a clone of you. So try to avoid these unfair comparisons, because your business is your vision, it's your life's work, which means that your level of passion for the business is unmatched. And a VA is wonderful, but while they care about your business, they are supportive, they are dedicated, they are not you and they will never be a clone of you. They will naturally have a different relationship with your business. You are looking at your business with the purpose of growth. Your virtual assistants want stability. They want to make sure they will be able to put food on their table, to have enough money for their family. That's it. So you have different goals. You are more ambitious, you want to grow, you want to scale, you want to go faster. Your virtual assistant just doesn't have the same ambition as you. So their commitment is manifested through their reliability, quality of work, and their willingness to support your objectives, not to dictate the objectives together with you. And I know you might be like, well, this is evident, this is clear, but I'm telling you because I work with so many companies, with so many entrepreneurs looking to hire virtual assistants. And I feel like a lot of them, that's exactly what they're looking for. A lot of entrepreneurs, they think, I want to hire a virtual assistant so that I can go on a beach in Mexico and not have to worry about work. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Can you find people like that? Absolutely. Can they grow into that position? Yeah. And especially, when you hire someone, have them grow into that role when you can delegate more and more responsibilities to them, and then you can take more time off and you can enjoy a week on a beach in Mexico. But you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I mean, how much time can you spend on the beach in Mexico? You'll do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, but then you'll get back to work. I mean, we love to work. We love the hustle. So keeping in mind what exactly a virtual assistant can do is very important here. And now here's another idea that I just thought of. It's like, let's talk about A players. I think I have A players in my company. I talk about my team all the time. I brag about them. They've been with me for a long time. They're dedicated. They're loyal. I love them. I love what they do. I really care about them as people, as professionals. But my definition of a player might not be your definition of a player. What if you had my team come into your company and then you would not see the same results that I tell people? Entrepreneurs are different, and we always compare virtual assistants or even the hires that we make to our level. So my definition of a player might not be the same definition as your a player. And we've seen this a lot of times when a virtual assistant was placed with a company and for some reason it didn't work out, and we placed that very same virtual assistant with a different company, and they stay there for years. They're dedicated, they're loyal, they just make magic happen in that company. What's the difference? It's the same virtual assistant, it's the same skill set they have, it's the same dedication, it's the same professionalism. What is different? The difference is in the expectations that companies had from their virtual assistant, and also what is an A player. So it's very important to communicate with your virtual assistant, because no matter how skilled, they cannot anticipate all your needs without communication. Communicate with them. Don't treat them as freelancers. Treat them as essential people in your company, as employees, as people that you want to grow with and people that you want to develop this relationship with, because that's how you foster loyalty. It's essential to articulate your expectations, your project details, your preferences explicitly to avoid any misunderstandings. I see situations like, well, this VA just doesn't get it. I'm like, well, what exactly? How did you communicate what is expected of them? I didn't. I just assumed they would know. Their expertise and what your expectations are may not be aligned. So make sure you communicate with your virtual assistants. So now that we took care of this mindset issue, let's talk about how to communicate those expectations to the VA. How do we get the most out of this relationship? How do they know what exactly we want? So early in your relationship, establish what behavior and practices are acceptable and which are not. So the sooner you do it, the better. Inform the VA of any consequences as well. So always be upfront of these boundaries, because that can prevent a lot of future conflicts. For example, here are a couple of areas to address. Number one is tardiness. How do you feel about the VA showing up to work late? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with 15 minutes being late, or you're absolutely against it? So define your expectations regarding punctuality or meeting deadlines and clearly communicate this to the VA. And what happens if delays occur? Do they get a warning? Are they being let go? Let the VA know what to expect so they can course correct or they know how to show up for you. The second thing to address is moonlighting, and that's very important. Are you okay that your virtual assistant is working for another company at the same time? Do you want them to work outside of your business hours or not work with anyone at all? This is very important to address this kind of expectations, because you have to discuss your stance on your VA working with other clients. It happens sometimes that we have unfortunately found a situation when a virtual assistant was working with two companies. One of them was a company from our side, the other one was not. And when we found out, we actually have a very strong policy against moonlighting. We do not tolerate moonlighting, because if you are working full-time with a company and charging them for full-time work, for 8 hours of work, and then you charge the same in a different company with the same amount of hours, that's such an integrity breach. This is not the type of person that we would like to work with. Outside of work, as long as it's not interfering with your primary duties in our company, you might be more okay with this or more lenient to it. But when the same VA works at two companies during the same 8 hours and charging both companies for the same time, this is just this is ugly. This is not someone that I would like to work with. So the moment we uncovered these situations, what happened was the virtual assistant lost both jobs at the same time. Of course, our client said, no, we're going to need a replacement. We gave a replacement right away. The other company, they are not our clients, and they also said, we're not okay with this. So they let go of that VA. The virtual assistant came to us and asked if they can get another job with us. And I said, absolutely not. Unfortunately, this is not something that we tolerate, and we do not work with VAs that breach integrity. But in our company, we know where we stand on moonlighting. Do you know where you stand on moonlighting? Because then your virtual assistant could use this like, oh, I'm sorry, but I wasn't sure where you stand on this, and I promise you not to do it again. But if you have a clear policy or, just clear communication on moonlighting, and the VA knows ahead of time and they still do it, this is grounds for immediate termination. In fact, if you don't have something like this, I do have a contract template that I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, but I'll make sure to leave the link here again so you can get the contract template. And we have all of these annexes that address a lot of different situations. So here's about moonlighting. Let's talk about the next one. What else can we set expectations with our VAs? Let's set the expectations about delivery of results. You gotta set clear standards for the quality and timelines of work. Because if your VA does the work in a week, which could be done in one day, this is a problem. I know the hourly rate is usually lower than what you would get here in the States, but if it takes a whole week, you're not paying an hourly rate, you're paying for the whole week worth of hourly rate. So how much money are you really spending on that task? Is it really worth it? It might actually end up costing you a lot more than hiring someone local who can do it in 3, 4, 5 hours. So you could end up spending more money with a VA because they take more time. So communicate delivery of results. What standards do you have? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? When do you want it to be done by? What is the deadline? You provide examples or templates whenever possible, and also show examples of what you like and what you don't like. This is what I like because I like the aesthetic. I like how clean the design is. I like this. I like that. I don't like this. It's busy. It's work. There's too much text, different fonts. I don't know where to draw my eyes at, so communicate with your virtual assistant what you like, what you don't like, so they know what to emphasize on and what to avoid in the future. The more they know about your preferences, the better they can help you. All right, another thing to set the expectations with your VAs is core values. I am big on core values. Everybody on my team knows what our core values are, and they are integrity, betterment, value, hard work, and ownership. Okay, so ask anyone, they will know what this is. Does your team know where you stand and what your core values are? What is something that is so true to you and your company that it always stays true? No matter what, in any situation, you always have integrity. You always work on yourself. You're always a good steward. You always take ownership. What is something that is so important to your company? Because the more clarity you have on this, the more you will attract the right people who are aligned with your core values. So make sure to set the expectation when you talk to your virtual assistant. Share your values, share your culture, share what kind of team members would thrive in your company and what team members will not last long. So if integrity is a big one, then you will inform the VA. We need people with integrity. We need people who do the right thing at all times. If at any point I feel like there's an integrity breach, this is not tolerated and it's going to cause immediate termination. So when thinking about what expectation to set with your VAs, we cannot not address confidentiality and data security. You want to emphasize the importance of maintaining confidentiality and protecting sensitive information, because everything related to your business is your hard work, and you want to make sure that your information about your operations, client data, intellectual property is all protected. So you have to make it clear that breaches of confidentiality or data security protocols are taken very seriously and will result in immediate termination. Again, if you check out the contract, I do leave here an annex about NDA, about non-disclosure, about what your VA needs to know when working with your company. And of course, communicate the consequences. Don't just set the expectation. Let the VA know what to expect if they are breaching these expectations or if they don't adhere to these expectations. This might include warnings. This might involve a review process or maybe termination in extreme cases. So I usually like to start with a warning if it's a skill-related issue. So let's say they were hired to do something, but it takes them a little bit longer. I train them more on how I want things done. I get on more meetings. Sometimes they have a warning if things don't improve. But if still things don't improve, then we have to let them go. Sometimes, it's a review process. Let's review a process. What's taking you so long? Oh, we could easily eliminate this step or have it easier, do it easier this way and whatnot. So make sure you have clarity and communicate that clarity to the VA. It's going to help them a lot. Now, if we look at this journey, let's say you found the right person, you set the expectation, they're aware of what you want, you understand what it's like working with a VA, they're not a clone of you, they're not here to replace you, they're here to assist you with your goals. Now, how do you do this? You're going to start by gradual delegation. You're going to start small. Initially, you might want to delegate 1 or 2 responsibilities so that you allow your virtual assistant to become accustomed to your workload and to your working style and to your expectations. And because this approach will also help build confidence in your virtual assistant and understanding on both sides. So you can give feedback if necessary, you can give immediate feedback and not let it grow into a big issue when it's harder to course correct. So then once you delegate 1 or 2 responsibilities and once they get accustomed to their role and to your expectations, then you can add more to their plate. Because your VA demonstrates competence, they demonstrate familiarity with your business, then you can gradually increase their responsibilities. And this can include more complex tasks or projects or maybe a larger volume of work. Of course, always discuss with your virtual assistant what their capacity is. You don't want them to burn out. But also, and again, this is again setting the expectation. When you hire someone, you said, this is actually what I'm hiring you for, but we're not going to start with this whole big workload. We're going to start gradually. You'll first take care of 1 or 2, and then when you're very well familiar with these processes, we're going to do 3 and 4. Okay, so they know that there's more work to be expected of them, and they will be grateful that you gave them some grace period to get used to their work. And then feedback loop. Establish a regular feedback mechanism to discuss what is working well and what areas need to be improved. When you meet with your virtual assistant regularly, once a week, or you can have daily huddles, then this ensures continuous learning and continuous improvement and adjustment and optimizing, and it's just a better working relationship overall. And of course, I highly recommend you to empower your VA. You want to encourage your VA not only to follow instructions, but also to take initiative within the scope of their responsibilities. Let me tell you what I mean. So you will find that a lot of virtual assistants, they have a different culture than the one here in the United States. And I know because I'm not American myself, so when I moved to the States, I had to go through a lot of mindset shifts and mindset changes to be more productive on the American market. I actually made an episode of the mental shifts that I had to make here on this podcast, if you check the previous ones. But the idea is that I am so grateful that my former boss empowered me to take decisions on my own. And because I love that, I want to contribute, but I didn't want to overstep. I didn't want to not respect the hierarchy, okay? Because I was just serving someone, and they were the boss, they were at the top. I didn't want to do things outside of my swim lane because I wasn't sure how they would take it. Now, if you absolutely want your VA to just follow the process to a T from point A to point B, then that's fine, But again, set the expectation. Said, I don't want you to think outside the box. I want you to follow these steps verbatim. But to get the most out of your VA, remember, they're human beings. They want to grow. They want to feel empowered. Give them responsibilities and have them surprise you, especially once they become familiar with what you need and about your business. So I empower my team to challenge me if they think I'm not right, or if they have a way of doing things better or easier or more efficiently. Let them know, because we'll all benefit from that in the end. And I'm so grateful to my former boss who said, this is how we do it here, but if you can think of a way to optimize it, to make it better, go for it. At the end of the day, I'm not here to dictate you what to do. You're here because you can help us grow the organization. And I think you're capable. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been hired. So let's work together and see how we can grow this organization. And we did wonderful things together. And I'm so grateful for that. So if you have a great virtual assistant, someone who's capable to think outside the box, someone who has initiative, someone who has drive, someone who has more experience than you, and they know of tools, or they know how to use AI, or they know how to use different systems better than the ones that you're using right now, hear them out. See what they have to say. It's going to help your organization a lot. So what we talked about so far was understanding the role of the VA, what they can do, what they can do, what they should, what they shouldn't do, setting the expectations, how to let the VA know what do you expect of them, and how will you check that, and what do you like, what you don't like. We also talked about gradual delegation. Start small and then add gradually more to their plate. But also let's talk about the expectations of work-life balance. This is very important. Everybody wants work-life balance. So if you expect your virtual assistant to work around the clock, to work on the weekends, to work 12 hours a day, chances are they will burn out. Even if they're amazing at what they do, they will burn out, they will lose productivity, and they might be looking for a different job. Have this in mind that we're all humans, we all want to provide for our families, and we all want that work-life balance. So recognize the importance of your VA maintaining a healthy work-life balance, because you will gain a lot more in the long run. Excessive overtime or this unrealistic workload expectations can lead to burnout, and it will inevitably lead to reduced productivity, and it serves you absolutely no good. In my company, it is very important that we have a good work-life balance. Sometimes my team wants to work on the weekend, and I said, absolutely not, take a time off, disconnect, because I need you to be fresh on Monday. Sometimes we work with clients who'd like my team to be available around the clock. So we had to set the expectations with the companies we work with. To respect everyone's time, please do not contact my team outside of these hours or on the weekends, or do not expect my team to be available at 9 p.m. or, 9 p.m. our time, which is a lot later on my team's time, and after they have worked 10 hours or 9 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, however much they work that day, I cannot expect them to work more. So be careful with the excessive overtime. A little bit of overtime will be appreciated by a VA, especially if they're being paid hourly. So they might like this possibility to make more money. But if you overdo it, then you'll do you more harm than good. So these are the expectations on how to work with a virtual assistant. And it covers everything, expectations that you might have from a virtual assistant, but also what they might expect of you. And just overall, the role of virtual assistant and what it is. So let me know what you thought about this and what issues you have with your VAs, or what scenarios you had that you didn't know how to get out of. I would be happy to provide any answer and provide value. I believe in working with virtual assistants. I really like my team. They're amazing people, and I want everybody to find their perfect matches. So if there's anything I can do for you to help you with that, please let me know. Leave me a comment or just get in touch with me. I will leave all the details in the descriptions. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.